that my cue, Tim?
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, and I was closest to the speaker. It's good I'm hard of hearing in that ear. So.
You are now.
Right. What are you perceiving right now? Where's your mind versus where are you and where is your body? Frequently, that's three different places. And so my focus this morning is change your perception, change your life. Now, whoever's the light person for the meditation part can relax. We're not going to change the lighting. I'm going to interweave the meditation with the message because where I want us to go is into our bodies. Where I want to get out of our heads. Every thought in your head is conditioned by a past that doesn't even exist. The only thing that exists is here and now. The head is always in past and future. We get conditioned to perceive the world as past and future. We get conditioned to look outside ourselves to see people, places, and things out there as doing something to us. If there's a difficult person in your life, doesn't your head tell you, if they would just change, then I could get along with them? Driving in traffic, if those slow people would just go faster, or if those fast people would just go slower, then I would be okay with driving. If my family would just see all the changes I've made in myself in this spiritual journey in unity, if they could just accept me as the new person I'm becoming, that I would be so much happier with them. You know what? Those people, places, and things out there, you have created. You have created. It's not out there. It's in here as a vibrational pattern of this body, this spirit-mind body. It's all right here. The reality you're creating is a projection of what's out there. And if I had a 10-day silent retreat to lead you on, which is what I do, I could prove it to you that we are creating our reality by our perception. Because in Buddhism, the very definition of suffering is we want things to be different than the way they are. If I'm having a happy experience, I want it to last longer. If I'm having a painful experience, I want it over with. And that grasping after what we like and pushing against what we don't like is what creates our suffering. So what are we to do with it? Because the very nature of your mind is dualistic. It's either good or bad, everything's good or bad, right or wrong. Well, there's a third way. There's a middle way called an open hand approach to life itself, in which I neither grasp or push, but what I perceive, what my perception tells me about out there, I can look inside and experience what's inside of me to start making the changes that I want to see out there. The daily word freedom, your head, your ego mind, your intellect, everything you've worked so hard to develop to feel like I am somebody will never find freedom. It will never be found in here. What's cool is you think you will find it in a conceptual framework of freedom. You think you'll find freedom in a conceptual framework of God. You think you'll find freedom at some point in the future when you get everything set up just right. When everything's just right in your life, the right relationship, the right job, the right children, the right this, it's endless. Freedom is never found in the future because all there is here and now. So I want to give you some practical tips about changing your perception. I was trying to remember, what time did I start?
You started at 11, about 5 minutes ago.
About 5 minutes. See, what I love is Victor's precision. Man, at 11,
The only time is right now.
about 5 minutes ago.
It's like the Eckhart Tolle clock. Now.
But you all don't know me. I do not have a shortage of words. And I get passionate. And I get excited about truth. And I've spent 27 years trying to find it. And it's as elusive as anything in the world because truth is constantly changing. So it's like, okay, Ben, you didn't notice what time it was. So now so I get 25 minutes. And I guarantee you I got more than 25 minutes worth of stuff. Because I love it. I've been living it for 27 years. Used to be an attorney. I was an auditor before that, and then I became an attorney. And I became a minister. And for 27 years, I've been on this spiritual path, letting go of everything in the search for truth. And I'm finding it. And it's better than anything you can ever think of. Because again, the mind is dualistic. Everything is good or bad, right or wrong. And there is no good or bad, right or wrong in freedom, in truth, in the process of life itself beyond this conditioned form. So, as a part of our meditation, I want us to start to make it a shift. So I've given you a lot of good mental food. So the mind has something to chew on. But now I want you to start thinking about setting that mind aside for a few minutes. So, because my philosophy is the kingdom of heaven is found within. It's not a reward I'm going to get when I die, whether I've been a good boy or a bad boy. I already got that growing up. If I was a good boy, I was loved. If I was a bad boy, I wasn't loved. And I went to Nobles Avenue Baptist Church, and I found out that, man, God can be just as jealous and angry and hard-nosed as my alcoholic father was. And I'm not seeing any difference here. I got to find a difference. And it isn't Jesus up on a pedestal. It's Jesus right down here in the muck and the mire with doubt and struggles. Because what did Jesus say in the garden? Anybody? This is audience participation part. See how well you know your Bible. We just got through with Easter. Remember, he goes to the garden. 3 disciples go with him. He goes into the garden to pray. And what does he start with God? Hey, A+, be sure you get a cookie afterwards. He starts praying and he's in anguish. And he says, God, please, you can do all things. Take this cup from my hand. We're saying, this body doesn't want to be crucified. How do you feel about your crucifixion experiences? Anybody here been divorced? Anybody experienced an addiction? Anybody experienced financial problems? Anybody have children? Oh, I love those little people, but boy, they sure can be challenging. Take this cup from my hand. That's a prayer of surrender that all of us need to practice. Surrender in the identification with this human form. And then, where did he get to in his prayer? Acceptance. Thy will, not my will. You know what? Anytime you're in your head, you're exercising your will. Most people that say, well, God told me to tell you you're such a sinner. You're evil. Yes, God told me that. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. God never said such a thing. The Old Testament God was supposed to be surrendered to the New Testament, the New Covenant. And what is that covenant? God is love. Jesus is love. 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 Now see, here I am. I told you I was going to give you an experience, and now I'm still talking. See, that's what I do. Breathe. Every so often, Victor's going to ring a bell. And what we do is we just breathe together. Take a good deep belly breath. And now take a breath down that goes through the belly, down your legs and feet into the earth. Use your imagination to sense how you can grow roots down into the earth like a tree does. This body is made up of earth elements. This body will return to earth elements. We are not this body. And so this body needs to be grounded to the earth so it can get the life-giving energy from Mother Earth. This body, this beautiful body. Take a deep breath and let all the air out, and then open your eyes. Now we're going to play a little bit because the kingdom of heaven is within. I'm already experiencing heaven on earth because I don't identify with form most of the time. I still get caught up. But whenever I'm not identified with form, but when I realize who I really am, which is consciousness, I'm free. That's where we find freedom. That's where we transcend. And we're still in a body. See, we are the Christ. We are the Buddha. You ever heard the Buddhist say, if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him? First time I heard that, I went, what do you mean? Kill the Buddha? Any guesses what that means? It means, Sharon, you were right. I saw you point to your heart. So you got to be careful. I got peripheral vision. She pointed here because what the Buddha taught was awakening does not happen outside of you. And if you think there's a Buddha out there that can wake you up or is going to teach you something or is going to give you liberation, you're wrong. So we kill the concept of the Buddha outside of us to realize it's in here. In the Bible, Christ in you, the hope of glory. Christ is in every one of us. If you really like what I'm saying, I'm doing some workshops down in Fayetteville, Arkansas next week, and come on down. Because down there we're going to walk in the steps of Christ and Buddha. We're going to walk in consciousness. 4 levels of consciousness, and you just experienced 2 of them. One of them you experienced was simply closing your eyes and breathing into the belly breath. The belly breath is presence in this physical body. Just take a conscious breath. Feel the breath, because all of us live too busy lives. We tend to become shallow breathers, and we forget to breathe deeply. Besides, if you're a guy with a pot belly like me, you think you're supposed to go, okay, now I can strut my stuff. Trouble is, I can't breathe. What is the image of the Buddha to you? It's an old pot-bellied guy sitting there going, By the way, that's not the historical Buddha. That's the Buddha of the future. If you lived 2,500 years ago, you were always on the verge of starvation. There was no safety nets. There was no Social Security, no Medicare. See, I use those examples because I'm 69, so I'm collecting both, thank God. God does provide, thank you. But back then, the Buddha was a very slender, very fit guy. The fat Buddha that we see is the Buddha of the future. And if you were on the verge of starvation all the time, what kind of a Buddha would you create? Somebody that's fat and happy. Whoa, wouldn't that be great? Woo, be fat and happy. And what are we doing now? I'm going to exercise. I'm going to get slender. So, we are the Buddha. We are the Christ. Christ in you, the hope of glory. You are the light. Jesus said that. You are the light. Look around. Is there light in this room? You can't hold it, can you? You can't control it other than turn off the light switch. But you don't control the light any more than you control yourself. The ego mind that's trying to control things is conditioned by a past that doesn't even exist. And the Buddha taught 2,500 years ago, he taught that the way this life is made up is 5 aggregates, 5 elements to every human life. Now we look around and I'm going, man, every one of you looks different. Every one of you looks different. I can't help but look at Darla more than I look at you other guys because my wife is African American and she is so beautiful. She just, wow. So, and she gets to have the same experience as you're having, Darla. You go around Unity and it's like, where are people of color? It's like, there's all these white people. Where's people of color? She's such a gift in my life. It's like, oh, thank you, darling. I love it. I love it. Kansas City, the most integrated place. If you ever come to Kansas City, make sure you're there on a Saturday morning and go down to the city market, which is in the old town of Kansas City. Victor and I, we usually meet on Saturday mornings down there, and it's just vibrant and alive. And there is every shape, size, color, ethnicity, race. It is a melting pot, and it is so beautiful. And the fresh produce and the retail produce and the restaurants, and wow, there's such an aliveness there. That is totally off track of what I'm supposed to be telling. Did I hear a ring? You're going to have to make it louder. I'm on a roll here, buddy. Okay. Breathe into the belly breath. That's physical consciousness, the physical body. Slow breath in, all the way in. Pause. Notice the pause. As you breathe out, breathe it all out with another pause. And notice that the breath breathes itself. That's physical consciousness. Now, when you breathe through the belly, down through your legs and feet into the earth, that is entering a subtle consciousness. Your imagination, energy, grounding the body to the earth. It gives you the ability to begin to experience space in the body. And that's subtle consciousness. And at that subtle consciousness, we can experience our dream states, the chakras. That's where our memories reside. Because nobody ever remembers things the same way. And there's subtle consciousness breathing down into the earth. And we can play with that. You can play with imagining yourself as a tree trunk. You're growing roots down into the earth. Now breathe the energy of Mother Earth up through your feet and legs and bring it on up through your body, through your neck and head, up to Father Sky and grow branches up into Father Sky. Start getting this imagery of being like a tree trunk, and you're breathing from Father Sky down to Mother Earth, from Mother Earth up to Father Sky. You have to have a good imagination to do this. But it takes you in that subtle consciousness realm where possibilities exist. In dream states, you can dream anything you want. Well, if you wake up to this human life, if you wake up in the human life, this physical world becomes a dream state to you. It's only because of the solidity of form and fear, greed, and hatred, that's the lowest vibration we experience, that we suffer identified with this human body. So take a deep breath in and hold it. And now as you breathe out, open your eyes. Now stay in your body. That subtle consciousness. Let the mind, let the head kind of set it aside and be present in the body. See if you can feel what I'm talking about. It has a resonance. It has a vibration. I never talk about anything I haven't experienced myself. When I speak to you, it's not theory in my head. It's my own direct experience that I've had through years of meditation, years of prayer work, years of sacrificing everything to know God. There is nothing I'm attached to now that would keep me from following the path of truth. I gave up being an attorney. I gave up a marriage. I gave up the things that weren't authentic for me, things that weren't nurturing, things. And what we're looking for is not a shift in your understanding. What we look for is a shift in consciousness. And that you can't do with your head. But sinking into your body, getting into the wisdom of your body, opening the heart to the present moment. Because I think it was Tim that said all there is here and now. Got no past and future. We got no time. Life is like a horizontal dimension. This body is born. It exists for a time. This body is made up of fear, ego, and time until the body returns to earth elements. And then, where are you? The Buddhists talk about the wheel of samsara, lifetime after lifetime and after lifetime, learning lessons on the process of waking up, and we're all in that process. And it's simply, are you ripe in this lifetime to do the deep inner work, to turn your focus from outside to inside, to be in the world but not of the world? See, a lot of these cliches still have total merit, total truth to them. So the world is not out here. You have created this world. No one, no thing, and no place has ever done anything to you. That's a story in your head. When you change in here, you'll change out there. What would you think of somebody that grew up in a family where there was emotional and physical abuse? Somebody that lived with chronic depression, somebody that lived with alcoholism, somebody that lived with road rage. Man, that'd be a pretty hard life, wouldn't it? You wouldn't wish that on your worst enemy, would you? But you know that can be transcended. That can be purified. The karma that comes from consciousness into form, where we get to experience our suffering. Every one of us is suffering, whether we know it or not. That suffering can become the place where we find our blessings. That's where we find our blessings. My father was an alcoholic. The worst thing that could ever happen to me would be an alcoholic like my father, because I hated that guy. There was rage towards that man. Could not have a decent thought about him. And what we resist persists, right? What we fear, if we don't purify the fear, we draw it to us like a magnet. So what do you think I got to experience? Alcoholism. Donna gets a cookie afterwards. Alcoholism. To survive that family that was so physically and emotionally abusive, I got depressed. Depression saved my life. It's not a part of my life now. Where the hell did it go? Inner work. So the depression isn't there. Road rager. Oh, man. Life was a constant conflict in the car. Even in 1996, 1995, when I started going to Unity Temple on the Plaza, I'd gone to other Unity churches. And we would get into Unity and we'd start, teaching truth principles and singing together. And Tim, kumbaya, my brother, kumbaya.
Kumbaya.
I love you. Absolutely, I love you. And I would walk out of Unity Temple. Isn't the world just a lovely place? The Plaza, God, it's such a beautiful place. The epitome of materialism in the world. I would get in my car, and I couldn't even get out of the multi-layered garage onto the street without going, you idiot. The drivers that went slower than me were idiots. The guys that went faster than me were assholes. And nobody drove the way I drove. What happened to kumbaya, my brother Tim? What happened? What? I can... Yeah, right. That's when I called him my brother. See, I was drawn to Tim instead of you other guys because there's a vibration here. Breathe. Down into Mother Earth, up to Father Sky. Take a deep breath and then open your eyes as I conclude the talk. that changing your perception will change your life by some of the things we've already said and done. Looking inside, knowing that you've created the life you're experiencing because you come from consciousness. Consciousness creates the form. The form expresses your karma, drawing to you everything you need to experience in this life to wake up so that your sufferings become blessings. And the suffering I had as a child in my family system taught me about compassion. I never want anybody to suffer the way I suffered. And so that's my journey in life, to create compassion. My spiritual gift to the world is what I call wisdom training, where I sit with people one-on-one and guide them into the energy patterns in their body that's creating their suffering. And when you purify these energy patterns, the Buddha taught that all we have to do is purify the defilements within us. The defilements that are within us is fear, greed, and hatred. If you purify the defilements, you know what shows up? The Brahma Viharas, the heavenly abodes of love, compassion, joy, and peace, but they're not personal. It's not me loving you guys. It's simply that love is. And that's what we love about Jesus, that ability to have unconditional love. This is a conditioned form. This form can't create it. But if we purify the defilements, what we wake up to is a love, compassion, joy, and peace that envelops all of us. Now, if you're not in that place and you're having a bad day, and I'm feeling this Brahma Vihara love, doesn't mean you're going to feel it. But I'm no longer at the effect of your energy. That's freedom. I'm no longer at the effect of other people's energy. You know, somebody cuts me off in traffic, I wish them a safe travel because they're in a hurry. And boy, they may not get there safe. What do you think I used to do? Curse. Show them I'm number one. You're number one in my book, buddy. I wish them well. For the first time in my life, I used to make mistakes and cut somebody off. Now look in the rearview mirror and they'd be mad at me. So what would I do? Get defensive. Wow, right back at you, buddy. The other day I came home and I said, Dawn, I can't believe it. I was in a hurry and I cut somebody off. I looked in the rearview mirror and man, they were giving me what for? And I was just saying, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. No defensiveness, no reaction to them. They had every right to just be mad as hell at me. I made a mistake. That's freedom. Because we all make mistakes. Change your perception, change your life. Easier said than done. But that's where we're going to go. Now, you're going to ding me? Now, and I had some questions that Suzanne had sent to me, and I was going to quote from the Bible, but I'm sorry I didn't get to it today. So I'll try to get back to it to give you a metaphysical interpretation of the Bible. So, but what I wanted to be sure and share with you, if you're new to Unity, how many of you heard the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary? Absolutely. That's my Bible. 1990, when I started in Unity, I got this. It is amazing because it gives you the literal meaning of every name, place in the Bible, but then it gives you the metaphysical meaning of it. You become the interpreter of the Bible for yourself, metaphysical interpretation. So what you do, what I did was, I got the New Revised Standard Version of the Holy Bible. That's the academic Bible that they use in seminaries. I got the Concise Concordance to the New Revised Standard Version. And what you do is every word you hear that you're not sure about, you can look up the word in here and it'll give you the place to go look at it in the Bible. And then any person, place, or thing in the Bible, you look it up here And I guarantee you, you can spend hours going from one reference to another reference to another reference, and it's like somebody's turned on the light. Now, I also was going to get to the Jesus and Buddha as consciousness themselves. Our Wednesday night Sangha just finished studying Wisdom Jesus by an Episcopal priest named Cynthia Bourgeot that has a strong Christian background and says Jesus was not a teacher of morality or ethics. Jesus was a teacher of consciousness, called a non-dual teacher. And if you see Jesus in terms of consciousness, things just open up for you. We're now studying a Zen Buddhist teacher that, like me, had a Christian exposure as a child. And so he wrote a book called Resurrecting Jesus from a Zen Buddhist perspective. And this is about Jesus as a teacher of consciousness. And so these are the things, if you're new to Unity, that Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. Promise you, you'll never regret having that in your house. And there's a couple of people here that can do, three people here that can do a testimonial. My beloved wife, Dawn, is a spiritual writer, and she has written this book called Stumbling Towards the Buddha, which is about her spiritual journey that we're sharing together. And this is my third marriage. My mother said third time's a charm. And I guarantee you it is. That I have gone to places I didn't even know existed in a relationship with her. And I usually, the 7-year itch, by the time my first two marriages were 7 years into it, I was gone. I might have stayed there physically, but I wasn't there. It's over 10 years now with this precious woman. And my gosh, she is so in my heart. And we're having just the best relationship. And both of us are just totally in love. But it's so much bigger than ourselves. So, and she gives you a free CD because she's an amazing reader. She really is a wonderful reader. So, and that's totally unbiased, right, Victor?
Right.
Okay, I'm going to take my book, since I don't like intellectual knowledge, and take them back home. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.